everyone. It is July 13th, 2021, Tuesday, and this is our regular session at 7 p.m. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with Public Law 1975, Chapter 231, Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice has been provided by transmitting the resolution of annual meetings to the Asbury Park Press, the Star Ledger, and the Tri-Town News, by posting it on the bulletin board reserved for such announcements in the Township Municipal Building, and by filing it with the municipal clerk on January 8, 2021. This agenda is complete to the extent known, and formal action will be taken. I'd like to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and please a moment of silence for all of our fallen military, many people who've passed from COVID, and all of our first responders. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I would like to introduce our new clerk. Is Mr. Dwayne Harris. Mr. Dwayne Harris. He came to Howell with over 17 years of experience in municipal government. He formerly worked as a municipal clerk and QPA in the borough of Atlantic Highlands and the city clerk of Trenton, and more recently as the business administrator / clerk in the borough of Berlin. We are happy to have you, and thank you for my agenda. So everyone, please welcome. At this time, I'd like a motion for, do we have a motion to accept the minutes of June 15?
Before we do, we need to just call the roll, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Bonovich, Mrs. O'Donnell,
Here.
Ms. Richmond, Deputy Mayor Russo,
Here.
and Mayor Berger.
Present.
So now, Mayor, you can proceed with the minutes from previous meetings being presented for approval.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the June 15th, 2021 regular and executive session minutes.
I'll second.
Roll call.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
and Mayor Berger.
Yes.
The minutes from June 15th, 2021 have been approved.
Thank you. We also had a meeting on June 22nd, 2021. That was a special meeting, so I would need a motion to approve those.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the June 22nd, 2021 special meeting minutes.
I'll second the motion with the intent that we can do a vote, although I was absent for that meeting, so I cannot vote.
You cannot vote.
Affirmative.
So how do we vote? I'll accept the minutes.
Okay, so Deputy Mayor Russo
Yes.
and Mayor Berger.
Yes.
And the minutes from June 22nd, 21 have been accepted.
At this time, I wanted to mention that we received a grant for $150,000 for ADA access at some of our parks. So that's excellent. Thank you so much for submitting the grant application. Do we have any reports?
Just to, Mayor, so Restaurant Week, most of you have seen it. We have, Restaurant Week was officially launched July 30th, August 8th. We have a lot of our participating restaurants. I'm very excited about that. Also, September 11th this year is the 20th anniversary of this tragic day. I'd like to ask the governing body and township officials if we can do something
I would love
more
that.
than above and what we do. Every year we do a great, very meaningful memorial. I'd like to do something a little bit more involved.
More ceremonial?
Yep, yeah, a little bit more involved.
Like?
Well, I guess maybe talk about it first.
Okay.
And then we'll,
Yeah, no.
Nothing on top of my head, but we, definitely like to look into that.
I would agree with
Yep.
you.
That's all, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman?
Just to go further with that, I've been speaking to Mr. Fetcher about a larger program for the 20th anniversary, and he said he was working on some ideas, I guess, that other towns have used, and he thought maybe we could bring them forward. However, it did occur to me that because it's a Saturday this year, and I'm sure that there'll be many things throughout the county and state, we may entertain a Friday evening program in an effort to allow people to observe with other areas of the state. So I think we should consider the Friday evening as a possible point of observance.
Would you think about Howell Day?
Well,
No, I'd like to keep it separate.
I'd like
from-
to I'd like it to be more reverent and keep it in with that time period, I don't want to,
Sure.
but
Okay. So we'll table discussion on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Yeah, the full council should be here for this discussion, too, I think. Yeah.
I agree. Mr. Geegan?
Yes, Mayor, a few things. Let's see, first of all, on our DPW front, we had a microburst that hit North Howell last week, so July 8th, just a few days ago. DPW's been working to clean up the extra brush and down trees in those affected areas. Clean Communities has begun with their volunteers cleaning up various roads around town. 5 roads have been completed so far, and they're continuing with bulk pickup, open space, and roadside mowing. With regard to certain paving around town, as I'm sure you're aware, since you've asked regularly, contractors milling and repaving the remainder of Preventorium Road and Old Tavern Road this week. Old Tavern Road will be detoured from Manassas Road to Lakewood Farmingdale Road on Thursday and Friday. Residents will still have access to the library, municipal court, police department, and recycling center from the Lakewood Farmingdale Road side. New Jersey American Water is continuing their water main installation project on Maxim Southard Road starting July 19. The southbound lane of Maxim Southard between Oak Glen Road and Locust will be closed 24 hours a day for approximately 4 weeks. Local traffic will be able to access Starlight and Talcott roads during this time. The entire width of Maxim Southard Road from Locust to Talcott will be repaved this fall. Reconstruction of Lanes Mills Road between Maxim Southard and Lanes Pond Road is scheduled to begin on July 26. New Kent Road Bridge is scheduled to be reopened to traffic by August 6th. And MRSA is scheduled to discuss connection fees at their July 21st meeting. Specifically, residents of Freewood Acres are encouraged to submit their sewer applications as soon as possible to avoid any potential fee increases that they might be facing.
How many residents would that affect?
It's several hundred that still have not applied to connect yet.
Is there a way to get that information to them?
We'll be posting it on our website.
I don't know if you could do this, but you know how sometimes you do a blast through the phone? Could you do
Yeah, that
something
goes
like that?
township-wide, though, so we try and limit that to emergencies.
But what if people don't go on the internet? Then they're not going to receive that information.
They've received this notice many times already about connection fees, and even when they increased fees last year, we tried to get MRSA to hold off, and they refused, but we made sure all the residents were aware of that at that time. And then finally, we have a few items on tonight's agenda. Resolution number 238, and then ordinances number 17, 18, 19, and 20. Each of those require 4 affirmative votes of the council for passage. So the resolution will be tabled. We're going to be holding a special meeting in the near future. With regard to those 4 ordinances, all pertain to capital budget for this year. We're going to hold the public hearing tonight, so that way the public can comment on it if necessary, and the actual vote will take place at that special meeting as well. And it'll be probably advertised tomorrow morning.
Okay,
Okay? And that's all I have, Mayor.
thank you. Mr. Clark?
Nothing from me, Mayor.
Mr. Harris?
No report, Mayor.
Mr. Palazzo?
No report, Mayor.
Mr. Howard?
Nothing further.
Okay. So at this time, I would like to close that portion of the meeting. Can we have a motion to accept those reports?
Motion to accept, Mayor.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
and Mayor Berger.
Yes.
And the reports have been accepted and will be entered into the minutes.
Thank you. Now on to discussion. At this time,
Is the family of Paul Schneider present? Excellent.
okay. Okay, so at this time, we have a proclamation honoring Mr. Schneider. Would you want to come up? Do you want to go?
Mayor, and just a quick comment. We have Commissioner Arnone and Kylie here to do a proclamation as well, as soon as you're complete. Yeah.
I have it right here. I am proud to accept this award on behalf of my father, Paul Schneider. He has been active in Howell more than I have been alive. He wanted me to say he is too ill to accept it himself, but wish he could have. And that's what I thought I'd say.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The Howell Township Council in its totality just simply cannot honor your father enough. For over 50 years, Paul Schneider served this community, the county, the state, and also as representative of the President's Council on Fitness. He's a retired pharmacist. He started our Shade Tree Commission, Environmental Commission, Green Team. The list is endless. Some people think their moment in time that defines them. But Paul Schneider owns his life in a big rush. Because he's had many, many moments through his life that define him as a remarkable man in Howell. We've been very fortunate to have him serve us, and although he's ill and he no longer serves us in the capacity of coming to meetings and whatnot, he still answers the phone, he still talks to me about different things. He's still more than engaged. So it's with a very humble heart that I'm very happy to give a proclamation to you to give to your dad.
Definitely.
With our love and blessings.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Commissioner, please.
Should I stay here? Oh, okay.
So just to kind of not repeat what everyone said here, when we heard this, and Sue and I both heard that you were recognizing Paul, and I started to look at what Paul's accomplishments were in Howell prior to him coming to Monmouth County and helping us. I was really amazed at all the different groups that really didn't even have ties to each other, but just was able to broaden all the horizons and assist so much, and more importantly, assist our health department. And, you don't know how and all the benefits that were done through people that were working the plans to make our health department and what it is today, until you have something that we just went through, COVID did us. So I want to thank you, and this was an opportunity for us to come here and also recognize Paul for all the accomplishments in Howell, Monmouth County, and I know in the state of New Jersey. He was a voice he was a very reasonable person, but he was very strong in his commitment, and he had a lot of knowledge when he was talking about something that he truly, truly believed in support. So this
Yes,
is
thank you very much. You'd be proud to hear that.
Yeah, I just want to take that for a second. I don't know your dad, but
Okay.
I read this on the way over here, and I was absolutely amazed at all the things that he has done for his community, for all the different departments and places that he's been involved. It's really amazing. But I just want to read you the last line of this. It says, if I can find where the last line starts, jeez.
They have to put it a little bigger.
Really? Additionally, he has membership in the following organizations: New Jersey Pharmacy Association, yep, okay. Howell Ocean and Wall Chamber of Commerce's, Jewish War Veterans, Navy League, Olive Branch Lodge, I'm telling you, Wright Masons, Lions Club, Optimistic Club, and on and on. So, the Board of County Commissioners wanted to do something special for him.
Okay.
So we dedicated the community today as Paul Schneider Day in all of
Wow.
Monmouth County. Right,
Well, thank you very much.
sure, and that's on here. So that's yours, and please tell him we appreciate
I
everything
will
he's
tell him,
done.
I'm going to bring these home to him right away, and he'll be
Great.
so proud. He will be, thank you. Thank you, Jeff. Oh, no problem. It was very nice to meet everybody.
Mayor, can we
Thank-
take a picture right
Oh, absolutely. You want to come out in front?
These things I get nervous. Thank you very much. I will tell him, I will tell him. And he will be more than proud when he sees these. Thank you.
Paul's very much on Facebook, so find him. Give him a thumbs up, thumbs down.
He's always on
He's always on Facebook.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'm like, that was proud. Thank you very much. I don't mind if I come.
Our pleasure.
Thank you.
Tom, yep.
Bye, Joe.
Take care.
Okay. At this time, I'd like to open the meeting for public comment. When it's your time to speak, please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and place any and we will have a 4-minute time frame. We do allow for people to continue, but if you can get your comments in, please. We're trying to not continue with late meetings. Sometimes it goes a little long. I got the list. So at this time, I would like to call up Barbara Dixell. Mrs. Dixell. I put this candy in my mouth, and then I couldn't talk.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Barbara Dixell,
Good evening.
Howell Township. Even with a new truck, I'm having trouble walking. All right. All right, I'm going to talk to you about June 22nd. I'm going to tell you something, I'm hopping, ripping mad. I turned on my computer that day or whatever afterwards, just to go on the Howell Township website, just to see what was doing. And I see June 22nd, that you had a special meeting, and you voted on bond ordinances, and you introduced stuff. Nowhere was it mentioned. It wasn't on your website, it was not on my computer, it was nowhere. What makes you people think you have the right to go ahead and introduce bond ordinances and any other thing? You are the governing body, You work for the citizens of this town. We hired you. You don't have that right. Don't pull this crap again. Really, don't pull it again. Next time you want to have a special meeting, make absolutely sure you advertise it 10 days ahead of time and get it on an agenda. Not a week after the 15th, all of a sudden, bingo, they have it they have it that you introduced. Well, I would like you to reintroduce those things and do it again from scratch.
I have a question, Mr. Clark or Mr. Gee. Please, did we follow?
Yes, the meetings were
correct-
properly advertised, Mayor, well in advance of the meeting. In fact, I believe it was announced prior to the prior meeting to that, because of an advertising requirement for the grant hearing that we had. We couldn't hold it at that regular meeting, but we were up against a deadline with the end of the month. So that was the reason we had a special meeting.
It would have been very nice if the Township of Howell and the citizens of this town would have been notified to attend the meeting. Okay, going on. R21, 231, R21, 232. Do these two resolutions have anything to do with Soldier Memorial Park?
Which numbers, Barbara?
231,
No, neither one does,
232,
Mayor.
233. What, then just tell me what they are and what they are for. Does anything on tonight's agenda have anything to do with digging up sacred memorial gravestone markers on the Preventorium property and moving them to Soldier Memorial Park because some knucklehead Eagle Scout got an Eagle Scout project?
So wait a minute. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's fair, number one. Number two, it would be better seen at Soldier Memorial.
Mayor, I'm going to do anything that I can to stop it, and I am working with the federal government right now to do that. I'm just putting you all on notice. Those stones are guarded by God and the angels, and they've been there for many years. I will do anything humanly possible to stop you from doing it.
Excuse, although they are monuments, they're not,
They are monuments.
They are
They're-
not gravestones.
No, they're monuments.
Okay.
They're monuments,
That's what I said.
memorial gravestone markers for our dear departed who died in World War I, II, Vietnam,
Yes.
and...
Monuments, but not grave markers.
no.
I mean, I just want everyone to be
I
clear that
understand.
we're
Right.
not disturbing graves.
World War I, World War II, Vietnam, and Korea.
And Ms. Dixell, the intention of this, again, I think the mayor said it already, is so more people can see it. And that was this Boy Scouts' intention to do it.
This-
So more people see it. And they could, you know, lay honor to our fallen
Ramtown
heroes.
is a very segregated part of Howell. You really think people are going to run up to Ramtown to see these stones?
Soldier Memorial Park?
Okay. Like I said, I am working with the federal government right now, and I hope to be able to come in here one day and say, you're not touching them. You're not moving these stones.
I respect your viewpoint.
So I will do anything humanly possible. And then I will reserve my other comments for the ordinances. But no, I'm just putting you on notice. Eagle Scouts need to make projects that are good and will help the township. They don't need to make a project to remove memorial marker gravestones that have been there, I think, since 1946, or whatever they've been there since. And the Preventorium building was there since 1906. It was the home for children of parents with TB in 1906. So that's a historic building. It shouldn't be sold, it shouldn't be torn down, and whatever. And the 9/11 memorial, what are you going to do with that?
Respectfully, you know, if we were going to have a conversation about the Eagle Scouts project, which is his project, not ours,
Right.
I think it's important that that conversation would be held with that Eagle Scout.
Well, I have a right to my
And
opinion.
you certainly do.
And this is my
However,
opinion.
this isn't our project, Mrs. Dixell.
We're at 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Just as I am a 9/11 memorial survivor, and I was rescued and rescued on 9/11, and I saw the buildings fall down, I saw them bombed, and I saw the people being blown out of the building and murdered. I hope you
Respectfully,
don't touch that.
9/11 Memorial is not one of the things
I
the
really
Eagle
hope you
Scout was
don't.
looking at, but
I
thank you.
really hope you don't. Thank you.
Next up is Lisa Dowd.
Hi, my name is Lisa Dowd. I live at 93 Merrick Road in Howell. I'm here tonight on behalf of Shade Tree Commission and Green Team. So just wanted to go over a couple of projects that we're working on. One, I wanted to congratulate the Green Team. Howell Green Team was one of 8 municipalities selected to receive a $10,000 Sustainable Jersey grant funded by the PSC&G Foundation for the Plastic Pollution Solutions Project. The project will be an educational and outreach program that will be created to teach residents about the sustainability issues surrounding single-use disposable plastics. A public water bottle filling station will be installed, and plastic reduction activities, events, and education materials will be created and available to residents. I also want to thank council and all of the officials for all of your help in applying for the grant. I know we're under really tight deadlines, so thank you everyone for turning everything around so quickly.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. Very excited. Two, I just wanted to review some of the projects that Shade Tree Commission is working on. One, we did forward revisions, recommended revisions to the Woodlands Management ordinances to council and town officials for review. I know that they are currently being reviewed by legal, and we are awaiting comments. So just wanted to remind everybody, if you have any comments, please forward those to us. Two, we are working on, we've had a lot of questions from residents about ash tree replacement. So we are trying to put together a program where we can provide replacement trees for private homeowners who have had to take down their ash trees. So as soon as we have that program put together, we will forward it to everyone for review. We are looking at doing another seedling giveaway in the fall. The first one got a very good response, so we are looking at another one. I also wanted to follow up on an email that was forwarded to everyone on July 9th regarding a proposed Arboretum project. If you haven't had a chance to review it, I ask everyone to please take a couple minutes to take a look at it. The Shade Tree Commission's been working on a framework for the development of an arboretum in the town of Howell. So some of the items that we have been researching include potential partnerships with potentially Rutgers. We've reached out to them. Bruce Crawford, who's the Rutgers State Program Leader in Home and Public Horticulture, is interested in potentially partnering with us to help us come up with a plan and having the students do a whole strategic plan for the Arboretum, how we would fund it, how we would organize it, and also help us look at potential properties. We have also discussed the Arboretum with Sherry Sparrow, the certified tree expert. We have looked at some potential properties. The two that we feel have the most potential are 270 Southern Avenue, which is a Monmouth County Park System property. And actually, it's right across from the reservoir, so I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with it. And then West Farms Park, which is on West Farms Road. So those are two properties that we feel would be the most viable properties for this type of project. Again, we're still in the planning process, but I just wanted to make everyone aware of the partnerships that we're looking at and some of the properties. What we would hope to do is maybe get 1 or 2 more properties to look at and have the Rutgers students, if their program gets approved, come here and review the properties with us and give us their recommendations. We feel it would be a great partnership, and it would be a great opportunity for the students to come out and really plan the project with us from start to completion. And we do feel that this would be a project that would be an ongoing project over many years, and it would be an opportunity for the community to go to the Arboretum, learn about native plants, and we could have educational programs there, so we just feel it would be a great benefit to our community. So I just, once again, ask everyone, if you haven't seen the email, please take a look at it. We're open to any comments and any suggestions on other properties to look at. The other project that we're working on is Easy Street. There is an old dog park property on Easy Street that does need some rehab. So I know that I had talked to some of the council members previously about a community wildlife habitat project. Shade Tree has discussed that, and we are open to funding that project and making it a community project where we would rehab that site. It's about 2 acres. Plant native trees, native plants, a pollinator garden, and just make it a nice space for the community to go learn about native plants, pollinators, and it would just be a nice peaceful place. It's in a great location, and we're really not doing anything with that property right now. So those are the projects that we're working on. So any comments that anyone has, please forward them to me. And once again, I want to thank everyone for just your cooperation and your support. And Shade Tree and Green Team are really working hard to get some community projects moving by the fall, and we look forward to seeing everyone out and helping us plant more trees.
Oh,
So,
thank you for your hard work. I get your emails, by the way, so.
If I
You do a
could
Now you have to
ask her a
respond.
question?
Great job, no. Thank
Lisa, could I get, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask a question. The property that is across from the summer kitchen, like that buffers the Howell the Preventorium building and Old Tavern Road. It used to be the Gwen Madge Arboretum.
Oh, yes.
And I know it's totally destroyed. You know, I mean, it's really seen much better days.
Yes.
But would that be a consideration, trying to rehab that little area in there? Because I was under the impression there were some paths in there. Perhaps I'm wrong.
There actually is. There is a path in there. We really are trying not to take out any trees. So we're looking for more of an open area,
Open area.
where we can actually plant trees. We did discuss taking the existing arboretum. I mean, we believe it's more of a tree preserve at this point, and maybe working with the Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts to rehab that
That's a good idea.
and redo the path and get rid of the building that's kind of falling down and redo the parking lot, plant some plants. So it is one of the projects that we would like to rehab,
good.
Potentially rename it.
I mean, especially since it was named,
Yes.
I believe she was a young girl. As a matter of fact, if I recall, it was a Girl Scout. And, you know, I always think if we can rehab a memory, it's awfully nice when we can, you know.
Yeah,
but-
I think, I mean, we would love to keep the name and maybe just change it to tree preserve and
It's
walking
just a
path.
thought, yeah.
Yeah, and.
It sounds like you have quite a bit on your plate that you're thinking of, so that's good.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, a rehab project like that would be something we could do pretty quickly, and it'd
Yeah.
be a great project for the community.
And you're
Something
right, the
like
Scouts, yeah,
Winston
it's-
Park.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Good.
we'd love to do more projects like that where we can get the community out, so.
Well, it was fun
Excellent.
planting
Thanks.
trees, I have to say, even in the mud.
Yes, it's a little muddy,
Thank
so.
you. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just to let you know, we will have a Chapter 159 resolution on for the next meeting for the $10,000 grant that
Okay.
Mrs. Dowd was speaking of, to which we've already have received $5,000 of the $10,000 already.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is this Brian Manlow? Ryan, I'm sorry.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, committees, and representatives of the residents of Howell Township. I come to you with concern.
Please, your name and address for the
Yes,
record.
ma'am. My name
Thank
is
you.
Ryan Marlowe of 163 Adelphia Road.
Thank you.
I come to you in concern of Ordinance 21-13, and that is regarding the county and state of Monmouth and State of New Jersey prohibiting operation of any class of cannabis business within its geographical boundaries, and amending Chapter 188 Land Use and Chapter 19 Federal Law Violation of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Howell. As a 10-year Navy vet that is 100% disabled for PTSD, medical marijuana has been the biggest thing that has saved my life. Currently, I have to travel over an hour and a half to get medicine that helps me. Other medicines that are used in the medical field for PTSD and other ailments is more dangerous than medical marijuana. Pills that are getting people addicted on heroin, meth, other things that are more deadly, more dangerous. There are plenty of open storefronts in this town. The towns that do have and allow for these businesses are making thousands of dollars in revenue off of these businesses. What is Howell Township so against of bringing in extra income instead of wanting to prevent businesses from coming in for 5 years? 5 years you're wanting to block.
I will say, I am not against it. I don't believe that we are against it. The people of the town voted. What we're doing is we're trying to make it, to ensure that we have it in the correct location. That's all that we're doing.
So we want to wait 5 years to
No,
make sure?
no.
So let me jump in on that. If we were to ban it tonight, it's not banned for 5 years. If we allow it in town, we can't ban it for 5 years, but if we were to adopt the ban tonight, we can allow it in town whenever we feel. It's not prohibited for 5 years.
So I think that wording should be more clearly stated in the ordinances, because it doesn't state that. It just states that it's wanting a 5-year ban of these businesses until it can be revisited. And then you have another point onto this that states that the township there will be a delivery service located outside of the geographic boundaries of Howell Township, which delivery service shall have been duly licensed. So I would like to ask, as a 3-year patient of the medical marijuana program, what business and service provides delivery of this, because there are none? So wanting to provide something by stating that there is a delivery service, it is non-existent.
So under state law that legalized recreational marijuana, municipalities such as ourselves can ban the 6 classes of cannabis, but what we can't ban, what we have to allow under state law, is that delivery services that are licensed by municipalities outside of Howell to deliver into Howell. So when those licenses are issued by the state,
Okay.
they'll be able to deliver into Howell.
Okay, but in the meantime, there are no delivery services.
That's a state issue.
Sure. So I just urge and ask you to please, consider allowing businesses to be here, so I'll have more local access to the medicine that helps me without having to commute and travel so far away. And that builds my anxiety and everything else while commuting, So I thank you for your time.
I respect that.
Thank you for your service, sir.
Mayor, may I?
Please.
Not that this is the magic bullet by any stretch, but I totally understand your position with medical marijuana. I had a sister-in-law that the process to obtain it was so lengthy that by the time she actually had all of the paperwork done, she was only alive 2 more months to utilize that drug. And as you said, they had to travel to somewhere in North Jersey to get it. And I understand what you're saying. It's a very arduous journey for those people that need it in a medical sense. And we certainly are very sensitive to the medical portion of marijuana in this town and throughout the state. So please know that we totally understand what you're saying. I just didn't want you to think that we're not sensitive to, especially the medical end of this. And as you said, the medicinal purpose of this is unparalleled, and I understand your point totally. So thank you for sharing.
And if I may, for the benefit of the public, there will be an official public hearing in this meeting on that one particular subject. So if you want to reserve any comments related to that subject to the public hearing, it would be a little more efficient.
I just have a question on it. I came right in at 7 o'clock. I didn't want to disturb anybody. I didn't get my name on the list. I didn't want to comment on that.
You could come up at the, don't worry, after,
I thank you. I just
sure,
saw an opportunity to jump in.
no worries. Okay. So can I have a consideration for a motion on resolutions 21-216 through?
My name wasn't on the list, but
Okay, let me give the list back.
Gentleman should come up. What was his name, Tom? What was his name in this suit?
Did you want to put your name on the list?
Sir?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Mayor, you want to allow Mr. Mayor to go proceed with his comments while we have others
Absolutely.
signing up?
Good evening, everybody. I'm just here for a little
Uh,
update.
name and address,
Oh,
please.
Jerry Barron, for that matter, B-A-R-R-O-N, 37 Danella Way in Howell. I'm just here for an update. I haven't heard anything about what's happening with Optimum Cable recently. I know at one time there was contract negotiations maybe, and we were going to have non-public non-administrative citizens, I guess you could say, on the committee. I'm just looking for an update.
Mr. Geegan?
There have been no further meetings, probably since the last report. I'll follow up with our special counsel that's assigned to it to see if there's any updates.
And are you still going to have non-administrative people in the committee?
At the appropriate time, yes.
At the appropriate time, okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right,
Yep.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Tina Smilek, 33 Charles Street. First, I just want to start by saying there's still plenty of election signs up. Is there a way to get somebody to remove those? It's people that didn't even win. So, I mean, right across the street at ShopRite and all that, they're not supposed to be up anymore. I don't like to see the clutter all around. Once election is over, after September 1st, they can be put back out, but
If you can let me know where those are, we can have code enforcement reach out.
sure.
and
I mean,
make
right
sure
across
they're
that ShopRite, there's a
ShopRite.
bunch. Some are down on West Farms
Okay, the
and
bus stop, yeah.
bus stop. Okay, R21-220. What firm is this with? Who's our administrative agent?
CGP&H.
CGP and H, is that a law firm?
No, they are not. They're specifically an affordable housing administrator, so they've been ours for several years.
Okay. So we're just adding, but we're pretty good on affordable housing now, right?
We're good on affordable housing, but they're administering some of our programs.
Okay. R21-223. Is this going to go before the planning board still, or is this already done with the planning board? Do we know?
The approvals have been granted.
All approvals are
Yep.
granted? So that's going up. R21-228, amending the 2021 capital budget. Does that mean the ordinance that's in there? Or what does this do? I don't understand.
So all this does is how, at the time that the capital budget was passed, at the time, all of the requests from the departments were included. As I say, the capital budget is only just a spending plan. So what this amendment is doing is bringing the capital budget spending plan in alignment to what was introduced under those ordinances.
Okay, so those ordinances are exactly, can they still do anything with those ordinances if they wanted to take stuff off, or? Or is that set in stone?
So there's two ordinances. The one that is for our pursuance with the Monmouth County Improvement Authority, that is a not to exceed. So the final listing can be cut prior to us submitting the final list to the County Improvement Authority to say, here is what we're going to go out to bond for, so that can be adjusted. The other bond ordinance, which includes the road work, some engineering projects, building improvements, any changes to that would be a material modification, so that would need to either be passed or voted down and then reintroduced, including any kind of changes.
Okay. Okay. Still, any update on engineering report to be put out, or just not? Everything you said, that I'd like to write it down, but I'm not quick enough, so.
If you shoot me an email tomorrow, I can give you the reply with the details
Okay.
of it.
Thanks.
Yep.
As far as road work, are we still doing RFPs for the road work, for all our paving projects like we used to?
Yes, as a matter of fact, there's a few on the agenda for tonight, on tonight's.
Okay. The other thing, just what Barbara Jexel was saying, you might want to check, the problem with email is the township's email does not go to AOL or Yahoo accounts. I had that problem a while ago. I had to change my email address to a Gmail account in order to get the emails from the town. So that might be why she's missing it, because not all those email exchanges work with the township email.
That's interesting.
Is that with the
So-
civics server?
Yeah, it was something, about 2 or 3 years ago, we were talking about it because I stopped getting emails, and they said, oh, we're having a problem with, AOL servers. And like Yahoo, I guess, is along with it. So they said, try to use a Gmail, and as soon as I use my Gmail account, I get all of the emails now.
My dad has a Hotmail account, believe it or not. He's like one of 5 people with a Hotmail account, and he gets them. But he said recently he was having issues also, so.
Yeah, so there is something going on.
I'll have our IT look into it.
So that just might be why Mrs. Dixell isn't getting some of the emails.
Thank you for bringing that up, Tina.
You're
That's-
welcome. Last thing, I would like all of you to just look at the June 28th zoning board meeting. It was about the Ramtown Greenville Road warehouse on there. There's supposedly, the chairman said something about having to approve it because of environmental issues, and if we didn't, those environmental issues wouldn't be addressed, which I didn't understand, because I think if there's environmental issues, the town could address it over there without having to approve a warehouse. Also, he said public questioning was going to be cut off at 10:15 and restarted at the next meeting. He ended up letting it go to 11 p.m. and then said no more public questions at the next meeting. People might have gotten off at that time. So I think maybe somebody should look at that meeting and just address, because there might be some people that wanted to ask questions that night that got off. I don't know.
I actually attended that meeting, and I don't think anybody dropped off after he said that. So I'll bring it up, but I think we're safe in that.
I would like even Mr. Bonovich and Ms. Richardson that isn't here, if you can just, especially the public comment portion of it, there's many concerns over there in Ramtown. If you could just give that some attention, I'm sure many residents would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina.
Lawrence Luttrell.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but is this about the cannabis ordinance?
I was just going to say I want to reserve my time for the cannabis ordinance. That's
Okay,
why I put my name on it.
that'll be open for public hearing.
Thank you very much. Cut me off before I say good evening.
Okay, is there any more discussion for this portion of the resolutions?
And you can entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
May I have a motion?
Motion to close, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the public hearing is closed, or the public comments.
May I have a motion to accept the resolutions?
I have a request. May we pull out R 21-228? I have a request to pull R 21-228 228 for a separate vote because I wanted to speak to that particular issue.
I don't think we could vote on this. Can we?
To vote separately?
No, I thought we would, there was only 3 of us. I thought we couldn't vote on it.
Is it a 4 vote?
No, that's a,
No.
Is that the one that you mentioned earlier, Councilwoman? Because you had referenced one of the ordinances.
Yes, so
designated as
perhaps
a
then I'm
majority vote.
better served to wait till the ordinance is.
Yes.
I'm sorry, then I withdraw my request. My apologies.
So at this time, we're going to consider the consent agenda, which is composed of resolutions number 21-2-16 through 21-2-23, and 21-2-25 through 21-37. And if no member wishes to remove anything from the consent agenda, they will be considered in one block.
May I
I'll
have
make that motion.
a second?
I'll second.
Give me 1 second to find my... So I'm sorry, that was moved by Deputy Mayor Russo?
No,
It was moved by
Councilwoman
O'Donnell, yep.
O'Donnell.
Okay, and then seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
and Mayor Berger.
Yes.
And the consent agenda has been passed. So next, you will consider resolution, well, actually, resolution number 21-238 has actually been requested to be withdrawn from consideration, and that will be readdressed at another future meeting. We're not even going to introduce that at this time. And then we can proceed right into the ordinances that are being presented for public hearing and possible adoption. The first being ordinance number 21-13, which is an ordinance of the Township of Howell in the County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, prohibiting the operation of any class of cannabis business within its geographical boundaries, and amending Chapter 188 of the Land Use and Chapter 19 Federal Law violation of the revised general ordinances of the Township of Howell.
I would like to open this portion for discussion for this ordinance. Larry?
And again, please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lawrence Luttrell. I am the attorney for Edward McNamee and Susan Keemer, who are here in the audience. They are the owners of Merrick Farm LLC, and they own the property located at 98 and 134 Merrick Road, in the Farmingdale section of Howell. I come here today to ask you to please reconsider your position on the ordinance. I fully understand why the ordinance is being adopted by many towns. The idea is to get out in front of it before the period ends in August, and then give yourselves a chance to be able to regulate it and properly assume it into your zoning ordinance regulations. As a practical matter, however, it's going to be a problem for my clients and people like my clients that want to be prospective bidders in what is going to be a very competitive licensing project. They want to be cultivators of the cannabis. They don't want to sell it retail. They don't want to do anything like that. They just want to be farmers. So Howell, we all know, is a farming town, right? It's so much of a farming town. It's got its own right to farm ordinance, and it makes very clear in the right to farm ordinance that it is a farming town and it's here to protect the farmers. Well, Susan Keemer is a second-generation farmer, and her husband, George, have worked at their whole lives. And they've struggled to make ends meet. They've struggled to pay their taxes. They are a certified organic farm. They've grown lettuce. They've tried to make profit margins any way they can. But they can't compete with industrial farming and corporate farming because the margins are just so tiny for them to do it. But now, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity has come. You now have a plant that has the highest yield profit margin of any plant that's ever been on this planet and grown. And they have an opportunity, that's a minute opportunity, they may not get the license, but an opportunity that if they do get it, It's going to be able to have a sustainable farm. All of the cultivation licenses are required to be grown indoors. Nobody could see what's grown inside. It's right in the statute. Council will confirm it. You cannot sell to retail. You can only sell to wholesalers or distributors, so there's no worry about anybody coming onto the farm or traffic coming in. You won't know if somebody's growing broccoli, asparagus, spinach, or cannabis inside this. The only difference is it'll have a security like Fort Knox that would prevent any suspecting people of coming in to go ahead and do something that obviously nobody wants. That's my main concern with it. I fully get the idea of wanting to regulate where, what they call head shops or whatever it's going to be located. But the idea is this, I would ask you, it's a second-generation farmer, and her partner is a financial advisor his entire life. 76 years old, he's dedicated his entire life into finance. That's who this is attracting into Howell. So the idea, the sentiment sometimes, oh, there's going to be an element. It's not an element. It's people like your neighbors, like the gentleman here, the veteran that just shared, and thank you very much for your service, and thank you for sharing that. It took a lot of courage to come up here and say that. And it is a real issue for people. And it's going to be worse, because what's going to happen is there's going to be this mad rush once it becomes legalized and once the retail comes on, that the production will not be able to meet it. And all of these distributors and everyone else is going to be gobbling up all this market share. And people like this gentleman here, this veteran, are all going to be struggling to get it. I want, and my clients want, nothing more than Howell to be able to have a piece of this opportunity. And the piece of that opportunity is very simple. You get to enact a 2% tax, sales tax, on all the sales. $10 million, which is a very modest gross sales on a production facility, would yield $200,000. That's your cost of living raise for your police department or fire pensions or things of that nature. You're always struggling on budget time to carve up that extra $200,000, $300,000 every year because everything keeps rising, right? So I don't envy your position. You have the hardest job. Obviously, that was evident tonight, not the first time coming in. There's no easy time here for anybody here. And I think God blessed me the 3 times that I ran for freeholder that I lost. Because at the end of the day, I realize how hard of a job it is to be up there. And I don't take this lightly. I know you're trying to do the right thing, but I would ask you to simply reconsider that. If you're dead set and you have a plan, obviously I don't know this, I'm not in executive sessions, but if the idea is to ban it now, to be able to preserve, but then come in and re-regulate it and allow it, I simply ask that you do it as soon as possible, because what's going to happen is this. The statute says that the committee, the Cannabis Regulatory Control Commission, has to adopt and publish their rules in August. What's going to happen is there's going to be a comment period on the rules, and then they're effectively adopted right after that. And then they're going to open up the application period. It's probably going to be a very short window of about 30 days, and then it's going to be shut, and then it's going to be gone because they won't issue new licenses for another 2 years. So the opportunity is now. People like my clients that are coming in, and he's willing to invest millions of dollars into here, which is going to create jobs and all the good stuff that everyone is, takes for, knows that this is what you want with businesses coming in. But ultimately, they're going to take their money and go elsewhere where they're welcome. So I would simply ask that you please, if you're going to consider still banning the cultivation part of it, that you go ahead and come back as soon as possible. My preference is that you don't ban it at all. The manufacturing, the same end of it. And I had some things in here I just wanted to point out that this gentleman brought up, which I thought was very big, and I thought it's worthwhile for the public comment. One of the national surveys, the National Comorbidity Survey, which studies addiction, ranks cannabis at 9% as addictive, whereas tobacco is at 32%, heroin 23%. It's not an addictive substance. New York State healthcare practitioners have to pass a separate test to be able to determine the amount of things. There's 14 different diseases that can be treated. Obviously, the councilwoman tonight shared something close to home for a family member of hers. I don't know if it was cancer or something like that, but treatment for chemo, cancer. My cousin just went through a double mastectomy with breast cancer. I'm sorry. She could not have made it through the chemo treatments and everything if it wasn't for the cannabis that she was able to get. And it was very difficult for her to come by it. And so I simply ask that, I hope that we're considering it on that level, and not just doing the outright ban that everyone's doing. I know the League of Municipalities is recommending that we just ban it and go on, but I ask that we take that look into it and please consider it. And thank you for, I know I probably went over my time, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak about this ordinance? Please,
I didn't give my name.
did you want to come up and speak?
yes.
So please come on up.
My name is Glenn Cantor. I live at 8 Weasel Creek Court. I serve on several boards of this township. And I'm not as well-spoken as the lawyer over there, and I certainly won't be as long. But I did, and I don't attend very many council meetings, but I did want to attend this to address this topic. I'm pro-business, and as he pointed out, this is a business. We should attempt to allow these businesses in the town to regulate them and benefit from the revenue that they generate, the jobs that they generate. I don't personally use marijuana, but I've seen some of the stores that are in Massachusetts. They're clean. You can't consume marijuana on the premises. You take it and go somewhere else. They're clean. People are well-dressed. It's a nice business. It's a legitimate business. And we have plenty of properties around, in and around Howell that are empty or needing of tenants and can generate revenue for the township. So hopefully you'll consider allowing these kinds of businesses in our township. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name's Dan Stinger. I'm running to represent our community in the State
Address.
Senate. And my address is 81 Crest Drive here in Howell. I'm not operating in the capacity as a candidate, but rather as a Howell Township homeowner, parent, and taxpayer. So you had spoken before about basically wanting to wait, but we're doing this to kind of hold off so you guys can kind of decide what the laws are going to be. And as a resident, I can respect that the council is trying to preserve our town's autonomy, but by the same token, I'm also really concerned that we could be passing up a tremendous opportunity for our town to reap the vast economic benefits of this new industry and what it has to offer. So, and especially after a pandemic that has just crushed our local economy. So I just have some questions. I mean, how long is it going to take? What kind of timeline do you have in mind for when you're going to revisit this issue? Because it's, people are waiting.
Well, I would say immediately. I mean,
I agree.
I think that there, I don't want to cut into your time.
No, it's okay. Go
Can
ahead.
we pause this time so we can?
No, go ahead.
All right, yeah, no, two things can be true, right? I mean, you can put the pause on this thing, but you can also actively try to see where it can go. I think it was an introduction of this ordinance, I think it was 2 meetings ago. Councilman Bonovich stated very eloquently what his intention was, and I believe everybody who was there concurred. It was to put a pause on it, and it's, again, not about banning the legal use of it, but about whether the issue of cultivation, growing, distribution, and all those uses can be left to the local level or the state level, and about home rule, basically.
Right.
But to answer your question, I'm sorry, immediately.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was wondering. So I'm wondering if you're willing to commit to a specific time frame, because, again, I mean, we have people like our veteran in the audience here and other folks who are really needing this to happen ASAP. So definitely think about that. And I mean, because during this time, there's going to be other towns that are benefiting from this, and we're going to be missing out. So I want to understand if there's going to be a plan, or if you're going to discuss a plan while you're discussing the plans to regulate this, if there's anything that's going to make up the revenue or the economic growth that we would benefit from if this ordinance was not passed. Because we all know that the moment that these licenses are going to be allowed, that it's going to be like a gold rush. So that's, yeah, I mean, that's what I have to say about that. Is that something that you're planning on discussing?
Can you say that? I'm sorry.
Basically, I'm wondering, you know, because we're gonna miss out. We're gonna miss out on revenue. We're gonna miss out on economic growth from however long it takes. And we all know that in this town, sometimes things can take a little bit longer than a month or two. You know, so if we're hanging on this for a year, 2 years, and we're missing out on all this extra tax revenue that's going to be coming in, and all these other benefits, and people are struggling because, you know, the closest, all the towns around this area are banning it. Howell Township already banned it. You know, all the towns in this district are really heading in that direction. So where are these people going to get it delivered from? I mean, because I know that that's part of the draw. It's like, we're going to ban it, but at least you can still get it delivered here. But where's that going to come from if all the towns around are banning it? So how are we going to make up for that?
Well, I don't think all the towns are banning it. I think
Not all of them.
Yeah.
Sure. But, you know, it's going to be one of those things where it's wait and see, you know? So
Joe, Mr. Clark, I have a question. So, and I'm not sure, Mr. Luttrell said that he believes the regulations will be complete by August. Is that what was stated, right?
We shall see. I mean, the commission hasn't exactly met regularly. The law was just passed. It gave municipalities a very short time frame to act. Like I said, there is no regulation yet at the state level, so it's unlikely that that regulation is going to materialize in time for us to really effectively take notice of it and do any kind of real planning. So that's really the point of putting the ban in place for now. It's something that the state has kind of forced us to do with the short 6-month deadline under the statute.
So we got some time, I understand. Thank you.
Please. But another question, and I know it's just a question coming in my head. So how long do you think it would take us to be able to identify areas? Couldn't we identify areas now, and then when the guidelines come out, we at least have a proactive approach?
We can, but we also, don't forget, we have our land use element currently under review as well, so those two are going to dovetail together in some ways. So, you know, we're going to have to work with our planners. We're going to have to see what the regulations say. I mean, obviously, we have to be cognizant of what's going on at the federal level with this. There's sort of a lot of ingredients in this that we have to be concerned with before we can really do anything. But having said that, you know, we're all going to be keeping an eye on it, and as soon as anything's out there that informs a decision on our part, we'll of course start really working on it.
Good evening, Joan Osborne, 28 Bronia Street, Howell. I just wanted to say that, you know, with a couple of different issues in this town with regard to planning, we're in always a reaction mode as opposed to actually planning for it. I mean, this law in particular, we knew was coming since last November. We should have been immediately identifying the zones that we wanted and what types of businesses we wanted, and figuring out an ordinance that would allow growers, as we, you know, the attorney said that, you know, Howell is a farming town. We want to be a farming town. We don't want to see our farms sold to become warehouses, the other big issue that we're reacting to as opposed to actively planning to do well and in the right places. So I'm concerned that, especially with some of the comments of the various things that have to be considered, that this is never going to get done. And we're going to be stuck having prohibited, and we're never going to reach an agreement in a timely fashion where it can actually be accomplished, because the licenses are going to be gone. They're going to be elsewhere, and we're just going to be out of the loop and not making any revenue, and the town sorely needs revenue. So I would ask that this become priority one. You direct the planning board to give you a report by the end of August on what zones and what types of businesses, and get it done. I mean, we got the craft breweries approved really quickly. Not a big issue. This doesn't have to be a huge issue. Just get it done, please.
I agree with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I don't know why.
The why behind it, Mayor, is because the state has not yet enacted any regulation on it. We have
No,
a
I respect
statute that's
that.
bare of any
I-
sort
I-
of guidance.
I respect that, but I also respect the point that Joan made, is that you could still start a plan. You could still have discussion to say, where would we like to have it? And then we could have that discussion. I mean, you're going to put it in a zone where you're going to put it. You're going to put it someplace on Route 9 or Route 33, I'm sure. It's not going to go in any residential area. So, I mean, I don't think that we're talking about putting this in a residential area. All I'm saying is, I do agree that there are times we have discussions and nothing happens until it's kind of
That's
like.
very true. So I think it dovetails in some ways with our warehouse issues.
I agree with- I understand that. I respect
It's going to be
that.
grown indoors, and so, there's going to have to be some sort of thought given to that, especially with the enhanced security that these facilities are going to require.
But I also want to say that it's not, New Jersey is not the first state that's done this. So there's got to be, best practices out there that we could take a look at. I mean, that's how I feel. I've also visited, I visited places in New Jersey, not New Jersey, in California, in Nevada, and it's as if you were walking into a Chanel store, to be perfectly honest. It's clean. It's people that are sitting in this audience is exactly who I saw in these stores. So I just don't, I don't understand it either. I'm sorry. So.
Tina Smilek, 33 Charles Street. I want to see both sides of this because right now, there's nobody we don't know that hasn't, we've all know Jay Koenig. You were there, Mayor, for
Yes,
the
ma'am.
signing of the medical marijuana for Jay Koenig. I remember you fought for that very hard. We know that medical marijuana areas are needed. I think I've never heard anybody on this council, and I'll be the first one to say if I heard that somebody isn't going to pass it. I agree that, I like Joan's idea that you address that this start be looked at with planning board of where these places could go. I think we do need to start now, and it's up to council to push this. On the other side, I think this ban is needed right now because this town has been over inundated with building that we do not want and we do not need, and we need to control that building. And I think that's the other side of this. So yes, we're stuck in the middle here because we're overdone with building here and putting things where nobody wants them. And when we build these things, warehouses all over the place, and we have so many things in front of the board. We need to be proactive, and we need to control our ordinances and our zones. I agree with this ban, but with the exception that I think you need a time frame. 3 months, I wouldn't go more than 3 months from the time frame that, the state passes it. 3 months from that, you should have everything in line, if not sooner. And I would like to see you guys put a time frame on it. So I think what most people are saying is a lot of things fall through the cracks in the past on council. This council has an opportunity to making it better and bringing us some responsibility. So if you could make a time frame, I think that would satisfy everybody, and it would also satisfy us being able to control the building and the locations of this. So that would be my suggestion. Thank you.
I agree.
Well, before the next speaker comes up, I'm sorry that anyone would think that things are falling through the cracks. And I think I have been talking to administration about possibilities. And several months ago, I asked the council to think about doing a meeting. We need to bring in our PD. We need to bring in Krista Riddle. We need to get information from those people in our town that know it well. And we need to bring in some medical teams. I think we really need to get a better bird's eye view. I don't think anybody on the council hasn't actually thought about possibilities for a grow. But I will say this, that we absolutely need the government regulations that's going to be surrounding this issue. And cultivation's extremely expensive, as everything will be that's attached to marijuana growth, distribution. Government will make as much as they possibly can. And if there's a chance of, I don't want to make a decision based just on a 2% revenue. I think this issue has a larger thought process that needs to be advised. But again, I would say that we need to sit down with a group of people as a council. And I've talked to a couple of police officers in Howell and out of Howell, and they have a true concern on how they need to react to this as well. So there's just a lot of facets in this. So I think we, and again,
When
I'm
you said bring in
asking-
a medical team, why would we bring in a medical team?
Well, I had a police officer tell me that they don't really have the proper test for someone under the influence of marijuana. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. There's a breathalyzer for alcohol. How do they determine if someone's under the influence? Parents are concerned. Everybody's concerned. I just think we don't have enough information. We can be doing all of this at the same time. I asked the council to, let's bring together a roundtable. Let's have a special meeting. Let's talk it through. Let's get some ideas on the table.
So respectfully, what I think is, if you want to talk about planning, that's perfectly fine, but people in this town voted.
I'm not, absolutely. People in this town voted for, the people that I've talked to have, they thought they were voting for recreational marijuana. How many plants will be allowed to have, and, I've heard different things. People voted for alcohol, but still you have to be mindful of how it's done. How does the bar operate?
Once again, this is not new. This is happening in other states.
And neither is my request for this council to sit down with more than just the five of us and to brainstorm this and to talk about this and look at other areas and talk to our PD. I don't think we can get enough information, and there's no reason why we don't have things in mind. Where might it go? Should the regulations warrant a certain area as opposed to another area?
Well, so if you want to have that meeting, I respectfully request that we have that meeting sooner than later,
Well,
because
thank-
as people are saying, they want to move forward.
Correct.
And so for us to wait till October, November is not the appropriate time.
So the
couple of
body could
months ago.
actually schedule a workshop specifically for this issue where you can continue this discussion amongst yourselves.
Absolutely,
But-
and I did request that.
Yeah, but
And
at
I will
this-
again.
Right, but at this time, I think it's important that you continue with the public hearing to hear from the residents.
Thank you, Dwayne.
It's not like this hasn't been decided in November by the public by 70%. This should have been talking about with you guys since probably January. So, you're far off. You're talking about now planning meetings. The planning of the meeting should have started back in January.
That was my request months ago, Mrs. Smiley.
Okay, well, that's great, then.
It wasn't
It-
about
I never
marijuana.
heard anything brought up in public. I never heard anything in the dais. I never heard anything when it was brought back up in the intro. I just feel if any of you could give some time frame, and there was also in the paper saying that they were going to extend the time frame for banning. Did they do that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not yet, because I knew it was in the paper. They were going to extend the banning past the 180 days. So that's just something else. I don't know, but just time frame. Sooner better.
Hugh Giordano, Blackwood, New Jersey, but I'm here as a representative of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union. Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Councilwoman, the UFCW is a national labor union of 1.3 million hardworking families. And I am proud to say that we are the official labor union that represents cannabis workers from seed to sale, both medical and adult use, under the guise of the AFL-CIO. We are also working with our union brothers and sisters in the carpenters, the IBEW, the steam fitters for the retrofit and the build out of these facilities. I want to thank you, Mayor, for supporting Jake Tonick Act, first off, because within that Jake Tonick Act is labor, workers' rights. So thank you. You're not only a champion of medical patients and sick people, but also workers, and I appreciate that. Thank you. These jobs come with living wage careers. They're not just jobs. Healthcare, sick time, vacation time, paternity leave, These are careers that you're going to leave 25 years from now and get your plaque and have a retirement benefit and be able to work and live with dignity. On record, we oppose this opt-out, but I'm happy to hear that there is conversation about actually drafting an ordinance that will work here for the township. We represent many other facilities here, ShopRite, Acme, Stop and Shop, so we're not only cannabis, we do many other industries as well. I want to suggest two things, three things. One comment, the state's rules and regs, the CRC, the rules and regs are going to do with the applications. They're not going to have anything to do with home rule. S21 made that very clear, that you have the right to choose what you want, how you want to do it, how many you want. And I'll give you a prime example of leadership, City of Bayonne. City of Bayonne 2.5 months ago passed an ordinance with application fees, renewal fees, but they also took one step further and passed a merit-based application system to mirror the state, to make sure they look at standards such as environmental standards. If a facility, a cultivation site in Colorado was using illegal pesticides in Colorado, who says they won't do it here? If a facility fought workers' rights in Illinois, who says they won't do it here in New Jersey? And these are the type of things that we have to think about, and Bayonne did. And it's a conservative ordinance. They're only allowing 3 facilities. And you're almost the same population size when you look at the census. So the City of Bayonne is a great ordinance. The other thing I would like to invite you is we represent one of the original facilities to open up here under the Chris Christie administration. The Garden State Dispensary is a vertical facility from seed to sale. I'd like to invite the administration, the police department, the mayor and council, deputy mayor to the facility so you can get a tour and you can see it for yourself.
I would love to do that.
Excellent. I appreciate the fact that you were very open about visiting other facilities too. You probably visited one of our unionized facilities in the other states, so.
I might have, I don't know.
You may have.
It was just so interesting to me. I just didn't know what to expect. And
Yes.
it was really interesting.
And the one thing to understand about these facilities, and a lot of people may not know, and you'll see when you come to the tour, is that there's a 24/7 access to the state police, the cameras. The State Department, 30 days, the facilities have to have backup video for 30 days. And at our facilities, at our unionized facilities, we hire retired police officers. So they were former union members who are once again union members and part of society. And who better than using the folks that our taxes paid for to protect citizens, consumers, and patients. So in saying that, on behalf of the AFL-CIO and the UFCW, we do oppose this ban, but we do hope that you will adopt the City of Bayonne ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you, I'm sorry, yes, thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else that?
If I may just have one more
Of
comment.
course.
It seems that, it's repetitively brought up that there is concern of seeing what other towns are going to do before Howell makes action. Why wait and see? You have an opportunity to set precedents and follow and set an example for other towns to follow. The opportunity is now. Please allow this opportunity. Thank you.
I think I will close this portion for 0-21-13.
You need a motion?
Motion to close?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Public hearing portion on ordinance 21-13 is closed. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
Having been moved by Councilwoman O'Donnell and Deputy Mayor, seconded by Deputy Mayor, is there any further discussion amongst the body?
Yes, but I'm not sure how to approach it. I'm very torn at this point, listening to the citizens that need the service. And, you know, we all know people who needed to utilize it. So I respectfully request that we do put some type of a time frame on this. I really do. Because it is not fair to just let it sit out there for a long while and then possibly lose an opportunity. And, you know, there were a lot of comments that were made that I absolutely agree with. You know, this has been out there for a while. Should have had discussion on it.
Well,
We've
Mayor, if you'd like to
discussed-
set a time frame, that council sets policy, not the professionals. So, I mean, you guys can vote on this ordinance and then amongst yourselves decide on when to revisit it.
Yeah,
Are you willing to do that?
absolutely.
Are
Yeah,
you
yeah,
willing
sure.
to do that?
Yeah.
But when I say to revisit it, I don't want to go further out. I want to be able to make a decision in 3 to 5 months. Is that
I
acceptable?
think the first thing we should do is have a workshop meeting. I think we should-
Understood,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
want to say, I would like to say that I don't want it to go further than that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's get to work. We have work to do. So,
Easy enough.
Okay.
So are you going to incorporate a date within the ordinance, or are you going to do that aside? Because otherwise we'll have to
Mr. Clark will
reintroduce.
have to,
The ordinance is the ordinance. If you want to set a time frame, you can do it privately, or you can do it with us, and we can set a workshop meeting for it, and then you can adopt a formal deadline there. But the ordinance is what it is and can't be amended at this time.
okay. I'm sorry?
Yeah.
I would not recommend tabling it for this reason, because the estoppel period runs 20 days. We have only until the end of July to adopt it before, we want it to go into effect before the ban under state law applies. So you can adopt it, and then we can have a workshop meeting like everybody wants. We can invite people to it, you can set a deadline, and then we can work on it. We can pull the Bayonne ordinance in the meantime, take a look at that.
Exactly.
But I would recommend not tabling it and take the vote.
So I'm going to take that recommendation, and I'm not going to table it, but I also have a commitment, right? So I believe that we will be working on this, and so, thank you.
absolutely.
We will
Mayor,
take a
you
vote.
ready for the vote?
Yes, sir. I am respecting them. I'm respecting the citizens,
All right.
but I also have to respect the entire town. So Barbara, please.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor
Yes.
Russo?
Yes,
Mayor Berger?
Yes, with all that we've spoken about.
And ordinance number 21-13 has been properly adopted.
Thank you.
Next for your consideration is ordinance number 21-16, which is an ordinance setting forth and amending and supplementing the salary range schedule for the salaries of certain officers, employees of the Township of Howell, shared services salaries.
I would like to open this portion of the meeting for discussion.
Is anyone?
Mayor and Council, Barbara Dixell, resident, Howell Township. Does this ordinance include the salary increases that you people voted for yourself, and is it going to be the $12,000?
Excuse me, with due respect. You people is not cool.
I'm sorry, the council.
Second, I did not vote yet. We voted yes to the ordinance, but we did not vote on our salary.
So that's not included in this?
There's a range that is,
To answer Ms. Dixell's question, no, this does not include any adjustment to the governing body salary.
Because there was a discussion from them for $12,000, and I wanted,
That is not part of this ordinance
Thank
or any
you.
other that's on tonight.
thank you very much.
wish I could see this many people involved in the rest of the agenda.
I know.
This is a big range, 500 to 30. How many employees are covered under this range?
Initially, if adopted, it would be 3 so far, and hopefully we can continue to explore other shared service agreements that would benefit both the taxpayers, the other towns, and our employees.
Why can't we do individual employees based on, I mean, this is like, I'd rather see it more transparent with who the employee is or what the shared service is and what goes with that shared service than just an open book between 500 and 30,000. I mean, it's very broad.
Because every shared service is different. We have certain individuals that hold state licenses that are signing off,
I
attesting
agree.
to documents.
So can we,
And we have others that are merely completing a simple report.
yes, so
once a
can
year.
we divide it up in like a clerical maybe, license part, and, you know, if they hold the license, they get this much, so it's fair across the board for the employees also? I mean, two employees might have licenses. One employee going to get paid more than the other employee because they're in a different department or seniority? I mean, how do you base how much of this 500 to 30,000 each employee gets? Should it not be fair across the board?
Wouldn't that, I'm just asking, I'm asking, wouldn't that be reflective of the amount of work that the person is doing? And, you know, I mean,
The amount of work they're doing and the level of work
and the
they're doing.
level, right?
And the shared service in
Yeah.
itself.
I just think this is a broad range, and I think I would just like to see it broken up more, but if you're comfortable, that's fine.
Is there anyone else that wants to comment on this ordinance? I would like a motion to close.
Motion to close public?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing on ordinance number 21-16 is closed. Is there a motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt 02116.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Is there any further discussion by the body?
None.
None.
Ready for the vote? Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-16 has been properly adopted.
Excuse me.
Next for your consideration is ordinance 21-17, which is a bond ordinance of various capital improvements and acquisitions of various capital equipment.
I would like to open this portion of the meeting.
How much is this going to, what is the impact on next year's budget for this?
As this was introduced and provided, obviously not the final list that's going to be submitted to them, but in principal and interest, it was roughly $425,000 for our debt service.
For how many years?
With the County Improvement Authority, it's depending on the useful life of the equipment is staggered on the amortization schedule, so it normally rounds out to about 7 years.
Okay, and my other problem with this is, not that it's a problem, it needs to be done. Fort Plains and West Farms Road traffic signal. Residents said this over and over and over again. We need a light there while you were planning the affordable housing there. We were told over and over and over again, there's no problem with traffic. Well, here it is, the taxpayers are now paying for the light that the builders should have paid for. This is our problem when it comes to planning and zoning boards. Our professionals are not taking care of us when it comes to these traffic reports, and these traffic reports are very flawed. So yes, we need this, and I have no problem with it, but I'm getting tired of seeing the residents pick up what these builders should be picking up on. Thank you.
She's right. Anyone else want to comment? At this point, I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The public
Aye.
hearing portion on ordinance number 21-17 is closed. At the request of the body, this ordinance has been requested to be tabled to an indefinite date in the future. Is there a motion to table ordinance number 21-17?
Motion to table.
May I ask a question?
You need four
For affirmative votes.
votes.
Yes, jeez. Table, yes, I'll second the table.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Russo, seconded by Mrs. O'Donnell. Is there any further discussion by the members?
No, not for me.
I'll save my concern then for the meeting where we actually vote on it, because I do have a couple of huge concerns on this, on a couple of the items.
Ready for the vote?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. O'Donnell,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo,
Yes.
and Mayor Berger.
Yes.
Table, ordinance number 21-17 has been tabled. Next for your consideration is ordinance number 21-18, which is a bond ordinance for various sewer utility improvements.
I'd like to open this portion of the meeting.
Is this bond through the utility and not through every taxpayer?
That is correct. Any ordinances that are for sewer utility improvements are inclusive of the sewer utility only.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
May I have a motion to close this section?
Motion to close.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
The public hearing on ordinance number 21-18 is closed. Again, as requested, this has been requested to be tabled. Is there a motion to table ordinance 21-18?
Motion to table?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Is there any further discussion by the body?
None.
Ready for the vote? Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-18 has been tabled. Next for your consideration is ordinance number 21-19, MCIA leasing of certain capital equipment.
I'd like to open this portion of the meeting.
I think this is the first year we haven't heard any capital from, like, the department heads of why they need it. A bus, didn't we just have a bus? Didn't we just purchase a bus like 4 years ago?
I believe that was 2 years ago, but
2 years
there
ago.
isn't one being purchased this year.
Oh.
There was
but
one
that's on
requested.
here.
It was
Oh.
requested. It's since been excluded.
Okay, so whatever's on here is not really actual.
As I stated, what we are submitting was a not to exceed, and our final list, which we will make public once it has been determined, we have to provide them with a not to exceed amount, and then our final bonding will be indicative of any of the manager and/or governing bodies.
Will these
cuts.
items be talked about in a meeting for, open to the public before it's decided what stays and what goes? They've always done that in the past, even if the public wasn't allowed to talk, it was always discussed in public.
That's absolutely.
That was done in November.
It was what?
Every November, we hold managers' budget hearings where they're open to the public and they're
Oh,
discussed at that time.
You're doing that, this was all on last year's.
It was held
November
November of 2020 for the
Okay.
2021 budget.
Okay, so we won't get to hear what's on here or not on here until you decide on your own in private. Correct?
I'm not sure you're looking at the agenda.
I'm looking at the schedule. I'm just saying, when you finalize this list, we won't know the actual outcome of it until you are done discussing and finalizing, which I thought discussion of that would have to be in public. I mean, because you can't have a quorum and discuss this outside of public, so I was just wondering if what was staying and what was going was going to be discussed in public or not. No?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Have we done that in the past? On capital?
Usually,
We haven't gone over every item that's approved or not approved in a public meeting.
We've not done that.
Not since I've been here, Mayor.
Is there anyone else that wants to speak on this topic? May I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
second?
All those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
And the public hearing on ordinance number 21-19 is closed. Again, is there, at the request of the body, is there a motion to table ordinance number 21-19?
Motion to table?
Second.
Moved by Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Is there any further discussion by the body?
No, sir.
You ready for the vote?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-19 has been tabled. And next for your consideration is ordinance number 21-20, which is an MCIA municipal guarantee on capital equipment lease revenue bonds, Series 2021, for the Howell Board of Education project.
I'd like to open this portion of the meeting for discussion.
I had questions, but I'm not going to ask them because obviously we have no answers for them. And I just want to say you're all voting on something.
What are the
You don't even know
questions?
you're voting on.
We've all seen the capital budget.
Yes, you have, but you don't know what you're passing and what you're not passing.
We're tabling.
You're tabling everything, and we're not going to have a quick, the next time you come, you're going to vote on these things, which is just going to say, do not exceed this amount, and you don't know what's on it and what's not on it. But I just have a
But
problem with that.
We've
I have a problem.
seen the final list.
Didn't we just say there's no final list, that this list was going to change?
No, I said it was not discussed publicly.
Okay, so
The
you've seen the
council
final
has
list.
the
but-
final list
But
of what my recommendations for the budget are.
but
However,
We don't
the
see
ordinance
it.
that we're talking about now is just the guarantee for the school district for their MCIA
I
part.
know, I'm just aggravated, because if we have a list of what we're having, what we're not having, we're approving these big amounts, and some of it's not even gonna be that much, and how do you plan a budget like that? It's like, does anybody even know what any of this, your plan that you have, do you even know how that's affecting next year's budget before you say yes?
Well, we reviewed the budget. We had discussion
So
about the budget.
why can't the residents see what,
It's not been approved yet. I'd like to close this portion. May I have a motion?
Motion to close?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So the public hearing on ordinance 21-20 is closed. Again, is there a motion to table ordinance 21-20?
Motion to table 21-20.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Is there any further discussion by the body?
No, sir.
You ready for the vote?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-20 has been tabled. Next for your consideration is ordinance number 21-21, amended salary ordinance, Township Clerk.
I'd like to open this portion of the meeting. Seeing no discussion, I'll close. May I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
The public hearing on ordinance 21-21 is closed. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 21-21?
Motion to adopt 0-21-21.
Second?
Moved by Deputy Mayor Russo, seconded by Mrs. O'Donnell. All right. Is there any further discussion by the body?
No, sir.
You ready for the vote?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Oh.
Yes, I would just like to be sure that everyone is aware that the educational stipend is included in the final amount.
You ready for the vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-21 has been properly adopted. Next on the agenda are items or ordinances being considered for introduction. The first being ordinance number 21-22, which is amending Chapter 188, Article 10, Section 188-76, Highway Commercial Zone HC. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance number 21-22?
I'll make a motion to introduce 21.22.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Is there any discussion by the body?
No.
Not at this time.
Are you ready for the vote?
Yes, please.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-22 has been properly introduced, and it will have a public hearing and possible adoption on August 17th. Next is ordinance 21-23, which is an ordinance amending Chapter 139, titled Fees, subsection 69C, Echo Lake Pavilion. Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 21-23?
I'll make a motion to introduce 21.23.
I'll second.
Moved by Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Deputy Mayor Russo. Is there any discussion by the body?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Are you ready for the vote?
Yes, please.
Mrs. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Russo?
Yes.
Mayor Berger?
Yes.
Ordinance number 21-23 has been properly introduced. It will have a public hearing and possible adoption on August 17th. Mayor, that is all of the official business before the body this evening.
And did you just mention that the next meeting is on the 17th?
I did not, but you just did.
So the next meeting, our next council meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, August 17th, 2021. Executive session at 6 and public at 7. But we will be having a special meeting to go over these ordinances and vote because we need 4 votes. So that information will come out.
Mayor, I expect that to be published sometime tomorrow once I confirm with all governing body members their
Okay,
availability.
perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
At this time, if there's no other business, I would like to adjourn the meeting. May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second that motion?
All those in favor?
Aye.
And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody.